right, everyone, I'm going to push a button and we're going to cross our fingers and Nick will be here. He's here!
Hey.
We did it! Nick, I was not fully confident that you would be there. We've been having some tech issues right before we went, and I had to push the intro button, and so everything went away, and my fingers were just crossed that Nick would exist.
Every app just crashed, but
Fun. Well,
as long as this one's still working.
Yes, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you exist, Nick. Those are my two favorite things about this show.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
Yeah, we're glad that you're here too. Happy Friday to everyone. Nick, what is this? Why are we here? For the people watching replay who just randomly found us, who are these random dudes on your screen?
Hopefully you found us through one of our incredibly successful Creative Basics videos on YouTube. I hope so. My name is Nick Longo. This is
Andrew Hochradel. Wrong point, but close.
Yeah, there you go. there we go. And we're here every Friday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, and this is office hours, and we're more than halfway. We got one more to go with our 101 basics. And we've been showing you all of the basics, kind of leading you up, getting you to sharpen your skills as a designer and all of the Adobe apps. And what are we doing today?
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about InDesign. This is the #1 requested thing, is more InDesign content. We're talking about InDesign. We're doing InDesign 101, InDesign basics today. Next week, we'll be laying out a flyer in InDesign, showing you how to make some marketing materials. And Nick, then that week, so our next week is our last week of Creative Basics 101. What are we doing after next week?
It's just logo bootcamp for 5 solid weeks.
5 weeks of logos.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one. And you guys have been doing incredible progress on our cafe stuff on Discord. It's incredible. I'm glad you guys are all still trying and keeping and refining. And then there's a ton of great photo editing from last week's Photoshop one. This is great.
Yep. So if you are just joining us for the first time or just found this video, we do have a Discord right over there, discord.gg/ACC. You can get plugged in there, say hi to someone. If you have questions, ask questions. There's homework going on and a continuing project, which we'll circle back to on next week's episode, which will be designing a flyer. So if you want more info about that, stick around. We're going to touch on it a little bit today, but we're not going to spend a bunch of time on our theme. So
perfect.
Nick, here's the question. What are we talking about today?
Today is all about InDesign and the basics of this incredible publishing layout app that everyone except for Nick Longo basically uses.
Yes. So InDesign is where I got started. I got started doing publication design in yearbook and newspaper. So I learned design in InDesign and then worked my way into the other programs. Nick has not used InDesign. So we are going to journey in together. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in chat if you're watching live.
Yeah,
if you're not watching live,
keeping an eye on that.
Look at it down below, because we'll circle back around in our 201 course for InDesign and we'll be showing you how to do some more stuff. So we want to know if you have questions, put them in the comments below or drop them in that chat over there.
Hey,
wrong way.
Katerina I think she's a non-InDesign person too. Yes. Look at that.
All right. So what is InDesign for? Let's start there. Let's cut to the close-up. Why are we using InDesign? The reason for using InDesign is layout. InDesign is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to taking a large amount of content and synthesizing it into a program, right? So Illustrator, we're making logos. Photoshop, we're editing photos. What if we just have a ton of type? What if it's just a ton of copy, which is just kind of writing, such as a book, a flyer, a magazine, a newspaper? That's what InDesign is for, is laying out a ton of information in a very elegant and composed manner.
Yeah. Would you say too, it's almost like it is by far the layout app, meaning you're not creating anything truly creative in it. It's the way all the other apps come together. Your Photoshop stuff, your logo and branding you've created in Illustrator, right?
Yep.
This is where it all plays together.
Yep, absolutely. So what we're doing is we are going to be actually laying out the story of Rapunzel today. So if you want to, it is public domain. You can go find a Grimm fairy tale and grab the story of Rapunzel, because this is the copy that we're going to use. So Nick, let's do a little bit of kind of situational work, right? So let's say that you're the client, right? You are Disney and you're coming, well, let's not use Disney because let's not get sued. You are Longo Productions.
There you go.
And you decided to do a non-associated public domain version of Rapunzel and the Rapunzel story.
I believe it's still open to that, right?
It is, yes. So you send this over to me and you're like, hey, here's what we want. We want to make a book. Here's our content, right?
Yes.
This is not creative at all, right? We have no creativity in here. It's just a bunch of words on a Word doc. What do we do to make this awesome? What program shall we use?
I think we're going to go straight to Capture, right?
Yes, Adobe Capture. No.
Capture. There you go. We're going to lay it all out there, guys.
Yeah.
Wait, am I wrong?
Yes, Adobe InDesign. Also, yes. All right, so what we're going to do is there are a couple ways to import things into InDesign. But before we import, we can't import it onto a Learn page.
I just saw Wade's comment.
Longo Plus. Yes.
That's my streaming service. It'll be $4.99.
Yes. So before we try to lay something out on the Learn page, we can't do that. We need to make a new document. So we're going to come up here to File and then go to New and Document. Now, there are other options here such as Book or Library. Right now, we're going to pretend like those don't exist. Yes. In 201, we will be talking about them. But 101, those don't exist. It's just a document.
Can I ask a quick question? So is document, obviously, can you go multi-page on a document?
Yes.
Okay. So the difference would be like book would really mean like we know we've got like 100 pages of like pagination and everything else, I'm assuming?
Kind of. So again, it's a little more advanced than that, but a book is basically a bunch of documents, right? It basically functions to where it takes documents and puts them together. So if you just create documents, then a book comes later and you can do other stuff by putting together documents. So base level, new document, and we're going to name this Rapunzel. I'm just going to name it Rappy. She got a cool new name. It's a gritty reboot.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I got to play client here. So I'm looking for a cutting edge, real modern of today Rapunzel. So
Rappy.
Can you help me out with some copy?
Yes, we're naming it Rappy. And what we're going to do is we're just going to click on print up here. And this is going to give us all the sizes that we need, right? There are also some amazing free templates. If you don't want to start from scratch, look at all these amazing free templates that are just in here that you can grab and download, right? So we're going to do letter, which right now it's set in picas. If you want to see, you can change it to inches right over here. And you'll see, will it reinterpret for me? It won't because it was set in picas. If you change it to inches, you can see right here that it is 11 by 8.5. We do want it to be portrait, right? Like a regular piece of paper. We want facing pages, and that just means that they will be next to each other, like we're kind of looking at a book. And then we have some options that we don't have other places. So, Nick, columns and column gutter. Why do we have those, and why are they different from any other program?
Well, that's great because obviously layout and publication first. Our columns we can set these up per page, and then the gutter is our space in between. Just for readability, you name it.
So for right now, we just want one column because we're going to try to lay out a little bit of a book. And the column gutter, it doesn't really matter if you just have one. So we are going to look at the margins. And the margins are the area around the edge of the page. Now, when you're laying out books, it's really, really good to make sure you're staying away from the edges so that nothing gets cut off. And it also gives you room to read so that it doesn't look very, very intense. It's kind of a little bit of breathing room.
Also binding, or if it's spiral bound or something, you want to keep everything away from the edges for sure, and cropping as well if it's being cut.
Yep, absolutely. And then we can see, talking about that, we have the bleed and the slug. The slug we don't need to worry about right now, but bleed is the area around the page. For what we're using it for, we don't need to worry about this, but in 201 we'll come back and basically address that the bleed is extra space on the outside that we can cut off. So those you don't need them right now, but they are down there. So we're going to hit create. And look at that. We have a new document in our workflow. Now,
and our purple line is the margin we've assigned based on those dimensions.
Yes. So even though we do have a bunch of white space, we're only working inside this purple space to know that we have the right margin for our content. Now you can go into Window, Workspace, and just set it to Essentials Classic. That's what we'll be working in. So if yours looks different, you might be on Essentials. Go to Essentials Classic because that's what we're going to be working with today. All right. So we're here, Nick. what do you have questions about as we initially land on here? What's familiar to you in other programs? What can we kind of compare and what can we explain without you having a lot of knowledge of InDesign?
Yeah, I'd love to say first, it used to be to me, I think this was a little intimidating when I'd get into it and be like, nope, I'm not going to learn it now. But when you see that the interface is so uniquely similar to everything else that we use, I think there's a certain welcomeness here that I haven't seen before in a long time. So love that, right? And love the essentials with having things as you need them on the right, which is great. So that familiarity is really, really, really good.
Yes, bravo on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at here is this is our page. This is where our content is going to go. And you can see all of the pages that you have right over here on the right. And a lot of people are asking about ebooks. We will be talking about ebooks. I'll actually show you how to make them interactive even. But that will be in 201. We'll get a little bit more advanced in 201. We will talk about ebooks there.
That's great.
So we have our document here, and let's start laying things out. And again, InDesign is all about layout. It's all about placeholders. It's all about making sure that you have the right things in the right places. So the first thing that we're going to do is I know that I want to add some text. So I'm going to grab the type tool, which is right here. And this is unique to InDesign. Nick, what happens when we click in Illustrator with the type tool?
We instantly get a type block.
Yes. So just clicking gives you point type. Point type kind of doesn't exist in InDesign. Because InDesign's all about layout, everything needs to have a box. So you can see if I'm clicking here, nothing's happening.
So you got to drag?
Exactly. So we have to click and drag out. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag out a full box to the full size of this purple margin, right? So we have that all there. And if we want to, we can grab our content from over here. We can simply Control A, copy, and then come in here and Control V to paste. Boom, we're done.
There we go.
InDesign Pros. We did it.
Look at that.
We laid out a book.
I love that. Quick question. Is there a way to work on InDesign projects with a client that doesn't have a CC subscription?
There is a share button that was just integrated up here. And you're able to export as PDFs. You can do a lot of publish online. You can share for review with a client. So if you wanted to, you could share with a review. It is something that you can export, collaborate. They can give feedback, all of that fun stuff here online. And yes, you can publish online, right, from InDesign.
So that's great. It's only what you want them to be able to do. You don't want them, they can't dive into the app without having it.
Yep.
But what's great about it is it's the collaboration of it is fantastic.
Yep. And check this out. And again, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but we can share work for review. And let's say that I send this to Nick, and we'll do this in 201 100%. When we're done here, I can click create review. I can send it to Nick. And then this panel will show me every comment that Nick has made on here and everything that we want to change. So it integrates very, very well with clients.
Wonderful.
All right, but let's talk about how to use it. So let's go ahead and we've dropped this in here, and you can see it's almost like we're just editing like a Word doc or a Google doc.
Yeah. Are you going to separate these now? Like what's the next step? You're going to make headlines, body copy, that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Look at me, crystal ball.
Yeah, right. It's a great idea in InDesign to use as few elements as possible, right? So I could break this out so that each box is a headline. Each box is a body copy, which is how you do it in Illustrator usually. But here we have some different ways of formatting that we really want it all to be together. So
is this so changes and shifts happen throughout the whole thing? So, because they're all connected, right?
Yes. So right now it is just one page, right?
Yes.
So this is our initial problem is we're going to let's look at formatting first, and then we'll get into some of the other things. So formatting is just like you would in a Google Doc, Microsoft Word. You just double click to highlight, or you can click and highlight and then use the type tool up here to pick your font. It does have full integration with Google Fonts. So we're going to use this one. I'll make it bold up here. And then we can change the size right there. So we've got a nice, there we go, big title. And up here, we have the alignment tools. And that's going to give us left aligned, center aligned, or right aligned. So all of your type tools are right here, okay? All of your paragraph tools, you can see here, right? So they're a little bit different set, and it almost like flips back and forth. But here you can change to all caps. There's a lot of other settings that you can use. You can adjust your margins, right? You can see the margins going in right there, which we'll do with some quotes. And all of that is shown by the little icons that are right next to it. It's going to show you what it's doing with that type.
So you toggle between the two as you design.
Exactly, yeah. So usually I stay on the character formatting, and that is just an easy way for us to work on that. Yep.
It's almost like do that first, and then you can move to paragraph for a little bit of refinement.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
So we're going to come in here, and I'm already noticing that there is something happening here to where there's like a weird line return, right?
Yes.
See how everything looks like it's kind of weirdly placed?
Yeah.
What we can do is we're going to use something called Control Find and Replace. Now, I know that this feels a little bit advanced for us beginners, but I want to format this as quickly as possible. So we're going to click and drag, and I'm actually going to zoom in here using the zoom tool, or Z. We can zoom in here, and then the hotkey for the type tool is just T. So we're going to click and drag, and we're basically dragging from this period down to this T right here, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to go to Edit Copy, and you think that it's just copying a space, but when we go Control F or Command F, which is find or change, I'm going to paste in here what I just copied. So Control V is going to paste. And you can see there that it's not just a space, it's actually a paragraph break, which means it's starting a new paragraph.
So it's almost copied code instead of copy.
Exactly. So I don't want it to be a paragraph break. I want it to be a line break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little @ and we're going to do a forced line break. And watch what happens here. If I change it to the document and I hit change all, it should fix all of it. So it says 54 replacements have been made. Let's see if it made that change. Oh, it centered everything for us. All right, maybe we don't want to do that. Let's do this. Let's do end of paragraph and then another end of paragraph. So let's see if we can add a level. So we're doing basically 2 returns there. We're going to hit change all. 54 made. There we go.
Great.
So
easy.
Yes, it's so easy to change if you have a formatting that's happening again and again and again that feels wrong. Just use that find and replace, and it will change it so quickly.
I'm assuming this is pretty exclusive to InDesign. Because I bring in copy into packaging all the time on Illustrator, and I'm wondering if that's such a wonderful little, because they have find and replace.
Yes,
it is. I wonder if that code will work.
It is much better here in InDesign.
Yeah, because this is where it's made for.
Yep. So let's go ahead and look at some more formatting things. So let's select some type here, and let's make this so that we have a little more knowledge of how to change the type. So if we want to change the font, we can do it right up here. There usually is a type panel in other programs, but you can do it right up here in the top bar. And we're going to change this to a serif. And you can use these filters right here to change it to a serif, and it will filter to only serifs. Now, when we're doing something like this, we want something that's super readable. So we're going to use Baskerville Oldface.
Always a good standard.
Boom. So we're going to click there. We've got Baskerville. It looks great. Let's increase the size just a little bit. So now we have a good size. Everything's looking great. Now, there's a difference between these two. See how it's a little bit different and the fonts are changed? So what we can do is we can actually use the eyedropper tool to copy formatting.
All the time.
Magic. So in other programs, you use it a lot for like colors. All we're going to do is select this, and then we're going to grab the eyedropper tool, which is right over here. And we're going to click on the eyedropper tool and then click on the text that we want to grab the formatting from. Boom.
Perfect.
And it changes that formatting. Now, what's really cool is you can see now the eyedropper tool, see how it was like empty before, and now it looks like it has like a little drop in it?
It's carrying over the properties?
Yes. So watch this. As I click and drag, it's going to continue to drop that formatting on whatever I drag it over.
Beautiful.
And so we can just drag it, and now we have that formatting on all of our type, right? We can keep it going.
Very cool. Could you have also, like, obviously, if it was all together, you can highlight it all and then do another eyedrop to the top sentence. But what if you have it scattered, right? The way you did it, just you selected it as you needed it.
Exactly. Cool. So those are basics. And I do maybe want to do 2 columns here, right? It feels like there is a lot going on And maybe we want to shift this to 2 columns. Now, what we're going to need to do here is we're going to go up here, and you can see that there's literally a button for columns. It has a 1 next to it.
Yep.
If we click up, boom, it's going to take this whole text box to 2 columns. Now, I want the title to be in the center. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove this title and put it in its own box. So we don't need to grab the type tool in InDesign. We can just double click and it will activate that type tool. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And then we're just going to grab this little node right here and pull it down. And then I can control paste and boom, we're pasted back in.
Great. So now you're breaking it up a little bit. Instead of it all being in the same text block, you did your formatting, did all that, and now you're kind of like separating it a little bit, correct?
Yes, anything that needs to be separate, like alignment, would need to be in a separate text box, like the title right there. So Excellent. You just saw me do something to kind of see the print preview, and I'm just hitting W here. So W in InDesign gives you the preview of what it will actually look like, so that you don't have to stay with all of your lines on.
It's such a great visual, like just giving you that option to look at it, gets rid of all the guides and everything else.
Yep, absolutely. So let's go in here and let's start adding in some other stuff. So let's say that we want to add in a photo. InDesign is really, really great for adding things in and having placeholders. So right now we have all this text, and we're going to use a tool right over here that is the rectangular frame tool. Now, there is the rectangle tool, which is right below it. Just like we've used in any other program, if you need to add some design elements, you can use this. You can use the pen tool. You can use any of the shape tools. But if you want to do an image, you're going to want to go ahead and grab the rectangular frame tool that has a little X on it. And we're going to drop an image right in the middle here. So
you're just crazy right now. What are you doing?
Right? We're just clicking and dragging. And it literally looks like nothing, right? So if we want to align it, again, everything is going to be up here at the top. And we want to align this. So we're just going to hit to the center. And now it's right in the center of the page.
Right.
And this is for us to place something inside. So in other programs, you're able to import photos, change photos, edit photos. InDesign is not that. InDesign basically only places stickers. And so we want to place a sticker of an image, and we're just saying, hey, this area, we want to put something into there, right? We want to place an image.
It's wireframing, basically.
It's wireframing,
right?
100%. Yeah. So what we can do here is we are going to place an image inside of this box. So I'm going to hit, actually, hold on just a second. Yeah, we'll use those. I just wanted to make sure that they're like, if I was going to place an image, it wasn't going to be like my social security number. All right. So we have our box selected here, which is just the place tool. And I'm going to hit Control D, or I'm going to go to File, Place.
Nice.
And here are a bunch of pictures of me. I will very gladly be the candidate for this story. I'll be Rapunzel. And so all you're going to do is you're going to select the photo that you want, and you're going to hit Open. And watch what happens. Boom. It is placed this photo into this frame.
Nice.
Right? And you can see
auto masking, just like you drew it. I love this. Great feature.
Yes. So it basically puts it right into there. So there are some things that are a little bit different that we need to do. We can't just grab this and size it. We can't like crop it differently.
Different tools.
Because it's a frame, the nomenclature that you use is fitting in InDesign. So we need to change the frame fitting options of this. So we're going to right click on this frame and we're going to go to fitting. And here you can see a bunch of different options. We have fill frame proportionately, fit content proportionally, content aware fill, fit frame to content, fit content to frame, center content. So all of these are different options. I'm going to fill the frame proportionally because I want the whole frame to be filled with the content. So we're going to hit this.
Gotcha.
And look at that. So it has now pulled that photo of me and it has perfectly aligned it. Now, it is filling the frame proportionally. It means the frame is completely filled, but there may be more to the photo that is getting cropped outside. So the way that we can look is we can grab the direct selection tool over here, which is A.
Oh, perfect. Just like in Illustrator.
Just like in Illustrator. We can click in here and you can see that there's actually an orange outline. See that extra outline?
Yes.
So the orange outline is showing us where the photo is, and we can move that around to those edges. So you can move it around inside. We can even rotate it inside. You can play around so it's like it's kind of masking that out as if it's a window. Now, the easiest way to do that is when you click on your frame, you'll see this giant dot in the middle. That allows you to click and drag and move that image around inside.
Not the frame, just the image within it.
Yep, just the image within it. And that way you can just click on that, and then we can use Scale Tool. You can grab these nodes, resize it, and it will stay within the image.
Gotcha. And then question, is it always a link to the image you are placing? Does it ever embed it in there?
It will never embed that image. It always is a link to that image.
Good, so, good to know. Because like just not having the choice means all of these are linked and they won't increase the file size because they're not actually embedded.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes is kind of the answer. In 201, we'll talk about exporting because InDesign actually needs to export each individual piece that you've placed into it into a folder. So InDesign folders actually get pretty intense because they have a million things in them. But yes, in theory, it's not going to weigh it down very much.
Great.
So something that we want to do is our Story of Rapunzel is great. It looks awesome, but unfortunately we are over the text, right? And this is like the new hip, like gender bent version of Rapunzel, right? So I'm just like a really tall guy. I am the tower in this story, but we want the text to wrap around this image, right? So what we can do, again, this is a frame, is we're going to right click and then we're going to find an option for wrapping. Where are you? My goodness. I look at these things and then they just like disappear when I actually need them.
Exactly, right.
Let's do this. Let's go to Object. Someone help me if you know in chat. Is it Object? It has to be
chat.
Object.
If anybody's got it, throw it in there for sure.
Corner options.
You can always do the help.
Why is text wrap? There it is. It's in Window. Is. Window, text wrap. And it's going to bring up this box that you see right here. And text wrapping, when you have the frame selected and you select any of these, it either wraps around the bounding box, wraps around the object shape. So we're going to wrap around the bounding box right now. And you can see that it is pushing the text so that it's not going over this box.
Yeah.
Now, something weird is happening is it's only going to the left and right. I want it to be on... let's do it on largest area. And from here, we can increase the difference of spacing. Perfect. So you can see there, it's spacing
just right or left.
Everything out, and it's going all the way around. So that looks pretty good for our image. So we're going to zoom out here, and now the text is wrapping, which means that it is around our image and we're laying out a page that's looking pretty good, that is still readable, that still has some interest and some cool design elements.
That's great.
So
what are the additional little like dots on the top left of the frame? Are those anything unique?
Where?
See all the extra dots you have kind of like on the top of the box?
Here?
Like those guys. Yeah. Are those anything unique?
No, these are just resizing the box.
Okay, gotcha.
So keep in mind, right now, think about this. Okay, so there are levels happening here. There is the text in the background.
Yes.
Then there is the frame of the image. Then there is the actual image. So the frame has a wrap on it that is affecting the text. So watch this.
Yes.
If I change the frame by using these buttons, right, using these little nodes, let's say I want less of the image, I can click and drag this up. And it is not changing the picture, it is moving the frame. So when I let go...
And the stuff around it.
Yes, because the frame is wrapping, it is adding a little bit extra of the wrap, but then it also is cropping that image for the window. And again, I can grab this inside and you can see all this image that is still being cut off. And so I can kind of move it around if I want to and add more space. So it is very much inside of that.
Perfect.
All right, so something that we want to do here is... I'm noticing, and I'm kind of annoyed that there are hyphenations. So hyphenations happen by default, and you can see like surrounded right here, it's hyphenating.
Yes.
I don't like hyphenation. This is a preference thing. There are rules on it, but like who cares? Do what you want. What we can do here is we're going to click on this box, and we're going to use a new window. So in the past, we've been using the type window, which is just the character panel. So the character panel looks like this. We were using it up here, but you can break it out if you want to. I'm going to go to Window, type in Tables, and then turn on Paragraph.
Paragraph. There you go.
Everything's popping up on my other screen, so that's why I'm dragging it over. Hopefully it pops up for you guys. So in the paragraph, when we have this selected, it's going to align all of these paragraph options. You can see here that there's a button for hyphenate. We're going to click, and all of those hyphenations go away.
Love it. Now, just like Illustrator right there. Like, it's like this, again, just showing that familiarity is great.
Yep. If we want to, we can align this so that everything gets full justified, and this starts to look a little bit more like a book, right?
Yeah. Look at that.
We're getting there. It's looking a little more booky. So let's go ahead and let's fix a couple things that are happening here that look odd. First of all, there's just a weird space there, so I'm going to fix that. And secondly, our formatting changed and got weird here.
I think that was out of frame when you were doing the eyedropper.
It was, which means there's a lot to this story that's not there, right, Nick?
Exactly.
So we can zoom in here and you can see this big red plus.
Yes.
That means that there is text that is what's called overset. And
Thank
that means
God for that little box. That helps me every time.
Yes, that means that there's something that is overset that's not there. And actually, if I go full screen, you can see down here, InDesign will tell you that there's an error. And if you click on here, right, it'll tell you, hey, there is an error that's happening. You can look and find where those errors are. And you can find right there, it's got that little dot. So that dot means that there is more to the story that we have not yet discovered. And what we want to do is we want to add a page to this story, right? We want more content. So I'm going to go ahead and open the Pages panel up here and then click on plus.
And then now, will that automatically fill your remaining, or do you have to do something now?
It is not. So what we need to do now is we're going to click on our box right here, right? This red dot, red plus pops up. We're going to click on that red plus. And you can see, just like the eyedropper tool, InDesign's really great about showing you, hey, here's what you've picked up. Where do you want to put it, right? It's all about placeholders. It's all about just putting things in different places. So InDesign's saying, hey, Andrew, you just picked up a bunch of text. Where do you want to put it? And what I can do is I can come over here and I can say, hey, InDesign, I want to put it within these margins. And all I need to do is click on the corner of this margin, and it will fill that margin with that content for me.
Oh, that's how much we had. Look at that. Okay, great.
So there is more. You can see here there's a plus that is missing still, so there is more that is still missing. Now, we've covered the basics, and at this point, I'm like, man, there's so much more content. I don't want to format every page. Well, guess what? We don't have to. So nobody hate me, but what I love to do is I'll just make a copy if I know that I have formatting of something and put it off to the side. What's great is that anything that's on the side here, when I hit W, goes away. It doesn't exist. So you can have chaos around your pages. If it's helpful for you to have notes over there, to have colors, whatever you want, you can throw it on those edges because it's not going to matter. It's not going to print. It's not going to go to PDF. You can turn off with W. Super easy. So I'm going to delete the second page because I'm about to show you the quickest way to do this. What we're going to do is I'm going to delete. We're going to leave our title right up here. But just like we placed an image, I'm going to place content, right? And this is gonna get a little bit crazy. I'm gonna move our title up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my content, right? Over here, it's just in a Word doc. If you have it in Google Doc, whatever, we're gonna go to File, and we're just gonna save this. So let's say, Nick, you as the client have sent me a Microsoft Word file.
Yes.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks so much for that Microsoft Word file.
Oh, you're very welcome. Took me a long time to write all that.
Right? And let me make sure, again, I need like a folder that just like has nothing in it. All right, you guys will just see what I'm doing for CCX next week. All right, so what we can do is we are going to do place again. And instead of placing an image, we're going to place a document. This is super powerful. So watch this. File, place. And instead of a picture of me, we're going to go over here and I'm going to grab Rapunzel, that story. I'm just going to click on the Word document and I'm going to hit open. So now look at this. Basically InDesign is saying, hey, Andrew, we got
some copy.
We got that copy for you. What do you want to do with it? Okay, so watch this, Nick. If I click, what's going to happen if I click in the corner? Little quiz for you.
It will place it in that box.
Yes. So if I click, it will place it in the box. It got really weird. Why? Because we didn't tell it where to go. It's basically just drop this document into this box. So watch this. If I undo that, it's not going to get rid of it. It's going to pick it back up and say, okay, let's pick it back up. Let's figure out what's happening here. Something weird's happening. And what we can do is we're going to hold shift, and you can see that little icon change?
Yes.
And it does a little swizzle. What that means is the icon changing to the swizzle means that it is going to flow all of the text from that document into as many pages as it needs within the margins that you designate, right?
Nice.
So check this out. I'm going to hold shift, and you see the little swizzle, and then I'm just going to click in this corner. Oh, why do you hate me right now? Why would you do this to me?
So basically, you're trying to take in all the characteristics of what you built with the columns, correct?
Yes. So basically,
okay.
Yes. What in theory it would be doing right now, which I don't know why it's not. Let me go ahead and just do this and see if this helps.
There you go. Okay.
Normal text. Man, there are these days that we try to show you things and then they just explode. All right, we're going to download this. I'm going to download it, yes, as a Microsoft Word document. Love that. Now we're going to place it into InDesign. Come on, InDesign. I believe in you.
Very cool that you could do this with copy as well, for sure.
Why?
Actually, that looks like your design style, though, right there.
It does look my design style.
So, does it know you? Is it going, Hawk? You like it a little bit, grungy there.
It is. That's exactly what's happening.
Totally, it's picking up your style. That's how amazing InDesign is, guys.
So I'm not sure why it's doing this, but in theory, this would 100% be flowing into that document. Chat,
maybe needs the columns in master pages.
I don't think that's
Is that a thing? Anybody else might have a little solution to that?
Let's try this.
Yeah.
Let's try one more thing. Here we go. I'm going to undo everything I just did.
Yep.
And I promise this works. We'll show you in 201. I'm going to make it so that we have an extra page right here. We're going to make our extra page. And then I'm going to click on our little plus right here. And instead of placing the document, look at that. If I hold shift, it's going to do the same little swizzle. So it's saying, hey, there's extra text here, right? With that red little plus. I'm going to make a new page and say, hey, there's extra text. A swizzle, just make as many pages as you need to flow all of that text. So now we have all of the pages that we need with all of the text. We did it.
Perfect.
All right. So what we can do as well is we can actually grab all of this text. And if we Control A to select all of the text, check this out. It's selecting all of the text of the document because it's all linked together. Yes.
Yep. So you're giving it the path of going from page 1 to 2 to 3, and it's occupying that space just as it's typed.
Exactly. So I'm going to grab the Eyedropper tool. And again, we're just going to grab all that formatting, and it has formatted everything for us. And we do maybe want to do columns on these. We can simply grab those and add a column to either of those.
Nice.
And it looks like we have maybe some extra content that I don't want. Now,
gotcha.
If there's a part of the story, let's say that there's part of the story that got like a little too intense for me. I'm a little overwhelmed. I don't think I can handle it. Let's say that I want to cut out this part, right?
Yeah.
If I select this and delete it, watch what happens to everything after it.
Whoop.
Yes.
Yep, because it's all literally one long path.
Yes,
Yep.
It moves it all the way around. Everything basically is one path, even though it's on different pages. Now, check this out. If I wanted to add a different image, I can add my placeholder, and this will probably be the last thing that we show you today before we lay out our pamphlet tomorrow. I'm going to add our rectangular frame tool, and let's say that I want a rather large, maybe illustration right here.
Right.
So we're going to put that there. We want to add some wrapping to it so the text isn't overlaying. So I'll go to Window.
So nothing happened to the surrounding areas because you haven't even applied anything to it yet.
Yep, I just put the placeholder there. So I'm going to say, hey, this placeholder, no text. No text. And we are going to make it so that we only want the spacing on the bottom. So right now, if I click on this, every side is getting the same amount of spacing, and it's pushing this column over.
Gotcha.
So if we take this to 0 and we turn off linking right here, we can find only the bottom, and you can see that it's only pushing my spacing out on the bottom.
Excellent, because you really don't. You want to keep it. It's lined with the gutter already, so there's no need to go any further. Exactly. It would actually be an eyesore if that was moved over. Perfect.
So we need imagery. Right? We don't have time to take photos, whatever. We need imagery. Check this out. So there's a little box over here in the top right. I'm going to go full screen here. It just says Adobe stock, right? And watch this. If I type in fairy tale,
Stop.
tail, T-A-L-E, and I hit enter, it is going to pull me all the way over to Adobe Stock, and it is going to generate everything from Adobe Stock that is a fairy tale, right? It's an Adobe Stock search for me. Now, what's even better than this is that it is now linked to my default library in InDesign. So let's say we want something, Rapunzel. This is a good image for Rapunzel, right? Maybe she's in her tower.
You need something a little vertical though, right? For that image?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, because we can kind of play around with it. This probably isn't a great example, but yes. So let's say that maybe we just want some forest, right? Something like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to license it. I'm going to click on the image.
Oh, I remember seeing this before.
I'm going to hit Save to Library. So you can see here it's saved to my library, which is InDesign. And check this out. When we go back into InDesign, I'm going to click on my CC libraries, which is right over here. And I am going to select my InDesign library right here. So it is synced from stock, out of InDesign into stock, from stock back into my Creative Cloud libraries. And you can see that that image is right here.
Perfect.
Now, we did not license this image. We have not bought this image. And this is why I love InDesign. It allows you to preview the image in your design before you license it.
Yeah.
So if I click right here, it is going to give me this image, right? And I can simply click and drag this image over to InDesign. And again, what does it mean when we have a little like box? What is this? What is InDesign telling us?
That's the frame.
Yes. So it's saying, this is the frame. We've picked up this thing. What do you want to do with it? And all I have to do is click on this frame, and it's not going to throw the image on like it does in Photoshop or Illustrator. It's going to place it into that frame when I click.
Very cool.
Right? So it's placed it in the frame. And again, we need to change the sizing of it a little bit. So I'm going to right click and go to fitting, and we're going to fill frame proportionally.
Perfect.
That's looking pretty good. Now, we can see that there's a lot of frame on either side. And so maybe I want to move it over, and I can just click and drag that button in the middle.
Get that tree in there a little bit.
Yep.
That looks good.
So it looks pretty good. This is a low resolution preview. So if you zoom in, it's not going to look great, and it's going to have this little number on it. But what's amazing about this is, let's say that we love this image. It's signed off. The publisher really wants it. Nick, does this fit our story?
I like it. I'm giving you the approval to purchase.
All right, cool. So all I need to do is I click on this little shopping cart right here. You can either do it from Creative Cloud or you can do it in InDesign. There's a little button. We're just going to click on that, and it is going to open up Adobe Stock. Let me make sure. Yes. So it's going to open up Adobe Stock, and it's going to say, hey, would you like to license this stock image, right? I have some credits. I have 49 credits, so it will use one of my credits. I'm going to hit confirm, and watch what happens. It licenses it, and it not only licenses it, it replaces it. So now we have high quality, and the image is gone. The extra little numbers. I believe
too, you can even, if you did a little bit of an adjusting to the preview, and then you purchase it, all the adjusting to that stock photography stays on, just like you did it with the crop and the positioning, right?
Yes, absolutely. It does.
So cool.
Yep. And I'm going to show you one more thing real quick before
in-app purchasing. Look at that.
In-app purchasing, right? One more thing is, we're going to use not just the placeholder right here, right? Not just a rectangular frame. I'm just going to make a circle. So we're going to use the ellipse tool by just grabbing that tool, and we're going
Now you're just asking for trouble.
Right?
Now you are just asking for trouble. What are you doing?
We're going to click and drag out, and I'm holding shift here to make a perfect circle. Just a giant circle. And we're going to have it go off the edge. Why not? There's no rules. So giant peak image. It looks crazy, but we want to make sure, again, the text is wrapping. So we're going to go to text wrap and just turn that on. We're going to wrap it around the edge. There you go. You can see. Yep. We're give it a little bit of space.
I love that it even with that guide of the offset. It's really great to see. And you can look how perfect text is lining up to it. Really great.
Absolutely. So it is offsetting that. And now, again, any shape that you're using in InDesign can just be a placeholder. And so we can select this shape that we've created, and we can hit Control D or go to File and Place, and we can place another image. Or we can grab something out of our stock library and place it inside the circle. Ooh,
wonderful. Look at that.
Pretty cool. So let's try something. So we're seeing here that there is color. That means the color of the circle is pink. and then the image is placed on top of it, right?
So it's not fully the same size of the circle.
Exactly. So let's do what Nick just said and kind of play around with changing the sizing and that kind of stuff. So we're going to grab the image by just clicking on our little circle here. And we're going to click to drag, and it's going to pull out a little bit. Maybe we want to rotate it. We're going to go up here to the corner and just click and rotate.
Very nice.
There we go. We can see the image is rotating like it's falling in. And then maybe we want to squish it a little bit. Let's do just a little squish. It probably won't look good, but it's good for the option.
But you can.
Yes, you can. So we can see here that we have Adobe the watermark coming across right there, right?
Yep.
So check this out. What I can do, again, is just with our image here, I'm going to click on this little license button. It's going to pull it up. It's going to say, hey, do you want to license this? And I'm going to say, yeah, I want to license this. Confirm.
Excellent. Look at that.
And check this out. This watermark goes away.
Gone.
Everything's gone. Everything's updated. High fidelity, high resolution, and it's maintained all of the rotations, all of the scaling, all of the squashing. Everything has maintained straight through, which is just absolutely amazing. The cool thing is there are some integrations as well for free assets. There are some free assets. If you go to Adobe, stock.adobe.com/free, there are free assets that you can include in there as well.
Perfect. Look at that.
What's great too is it's now pushed down the content onto the next page, so that anytime we add an element, move thing around, it will change all of that positioning. Right?
So if there wasn't an additional page, you would just get the red arrow and the little plus sign at the end of a box, right?
Exactly. Yes, you would just get the little red piece.
Yep.
So from here, we could export. We could kind of play around with formatting some more. But that's basically InDesign, is doing a lot of different placeholders, a lot of different pieces to get your content in and then to start changing things. Now, if I wanted to, let's say that these numbers here are important, right? Maybe they're chapters. I can select this number and we're just going to make it a different font. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, right?
Great.
That looks great. So now we've got another piece here. What we can do is we're going to grab our eyedropper tool. And again, we can just come through here and just double click on these numbers and go through our document to add these numbers wherever they need to be. So they pop out. And it's very quick. I'm just holding the space bar to kind of click and drag around. It's super quick to be able to edit and revise things and do formatting in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I love to, because even Penny just said, never stop inventing and integrating all of this cool stuff in the app. It's so convenient. And I think what's neat is I'm watching it with the fresh eyes going, these are all the things that the apps I use. The shortcuts help you with convenience, with repetitive things, so you don't have to do it over and over again. And that's exactly what every step you've shown here does.
Yep. And this is what I was talking about with the W. So when I'm hitting W, you can see that there is content flying over the edge here. But when I hit W, you can see it goes away. Now, there is something a little bit weird happening here. So I can click and drag this. Yep. Yeah. And it's going to drag it right over that edge so that we have it on the sides.
Nice. That looks great.
It's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. So there are ways to add in page numbers, to add in all kinds of conditional formatting, so you can have it so that the date goes in there and it will flow in there. InDesign is all about taking information and really synthesizing it through there. Thanks, Rob. Rob's understanding well. Very complex tools. Yes.
Wonderful job. I'm gonna like mess around with it over the weekend now. Who knows?
Yes.
I might even do one of my projects next week in it, because like I do a lot of sales sheets. We do a lot of things that are like collateral for clients. And my instinct is to just go into what I'm familiar with.
Yes.
And I love the idea of having something like this that you could start building those too, and you don't have to do all that repetitive stuff over and over again. It's so convenient.
Yep. So let me try to find something real quick. Let me kill some logos.
What other questions you guys might have? If there's anything else, we have a little time for some questions. So definitely drop them into chat, because I know I'm definitely learning by seeing the examples happen live. I think that to me is like, and knowing it's doesn't seem that intimidating anymore, I'm in.
Yep. And Cheryl's saying, is the purchasing the photo in the updated InDesign version? Yes. it updates the photo, and now it is the high resolution, fully updated licensed photo. It automatically updates it. You don't have to do anything. You literally just click on it. So I want to show you something. So this is something that I've created in InDesign that would be like traditionally for a client, right? And Nick, I know that you'd probably do this in Illustrator. You'd be like, oh, let's lay it on Illustrator. Great.
Yeah.
But what's great about InDesign is this is a table that's been built in InDesign, which we'll cover in 201. And so I can actually change the formatting of each individual piece of this table.
Yes.
And you can see that we've created this layout to where you have boxes here. Everything is kind of contained in itself. I think a lot of these we're cropping in so that the image is the same size, even if the image is bigger. It's very, very easy to lay out complex stuff here in InDesign. And we have a couple more questions. Nick, do you want to take some of those questions?
Yeah, I love what Rob just said too. He does sales sheets, and then they use the data merge with the Excel, like you showed. I think you showed way back in the day.
Don't get me started on data merge.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You acknowledge that Adobe stock photos in the document are like where they were from. So yeah, so if you previewed it and downloaded or licensed it, you play around with it as much as you want until you're ready to go. And then you click, and beautifully, you don't even have to do anything after hitting the OK sign.
Yep. And Nick, I'm going to do a little bit of tease here, and I don't usually like to do this, but InDesign is my favorite Adobe program. I know you've probably seen me do the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenges, talk about Photoshop. InDesign is my favorite. No question. So in 201 or maybe 301, which will be coming in a little while if you stick tuned, make sure you subscribe, make sure you set a reminder for office hours. I will be showing you how to do data merge. And what I'm about to show you is the pure kind of explanation of what InDesign is. Nick, when we talked about elements in InDesign, what are elements in InDesign? What do we use them as? Each piece. What are the pieces?
What do you mean?
Like if we have a ton of content, why are we putting it in InDesign? Why would it look like this, right? We just have like shapes and stuff.
Oh, because of our wireframes and basically it is literally the architecture of our layout.
Yep. So it's literally just architecture. So this is the easiest way to think about it is everything in InDesign is a placeholder. So this could be for images. It could be for text, all of those things. Remember, InDesign is just for placeholders. So I'll show you how to take something like this, right? Which is just shapes and turn it into something like this.
Yeah,
right?
There you go.
And so this is actually pulling through. Again, InDesign is really good at taking information and synthesizing it into something visual. This is pulling from an Excel sheet, and it's actually changing all of that formatting, all of that text, all the backgrounds, all of the headshots, because all it's saying is, hey, an image goes here. Hey, an image goes here. An image goes in the background. This text is going in here. And because we're using placeholders just like we did here, it's saying anything inside this placeholder of a box needs to be formatted at this size type and this font at this orientation, this color, and everything that flows into there will change, which is really fun.
So basically what it's doing is it's just filling in, populating from Excel sheets like you showed in the past. I know it's a bigger kind of like breakdown, but just like you did with those tiles, you can, instead of making all 40 of them, it generates it for you.
Yes. Marguerite says, I've been using PowerPoint to do menus. This is going to make it so much better.
Oh,
yes.
Welcome to the other side.
It is so much easier to do a menu here in InDesign. 100%. So if you did like this and you want to learn more about InDesign, make sure that you join us for office hours. We're going to continue talking about InDesign in our next 201 series. And next week we're talking about InDesign. And who knows, maybe we'll do a menu next week. Nick, what is up next week? What are we doing with InDesign?
Yeah, so we're going to do our first layout and show you guys really like live and build it. Maybe we could do a thing where we're sharing it back and forth as well too, because I'm gonna sharpen my skills up before next Friday.
Yes, so
we can demo like crazy on this one.
Yeah,
that's going to be great. So that's next week.
Yep, and we'll show you the share for review features next week as well, so that you can send it out to your friends. Or even better, you can post in our Discord down here, discord.gg/ACC. So stick around for next week because we will be giving you some assets and we'll be hanging out building in InDesign together. And instead of doing a book, we're going to be doing a flyer. So we'll show you how to kind of not have to do a multi-page document. Just do one page document, and we'll make it look really awesome with all those placeholders and features that we see in InDesign.
Guys,
So
come for the laughter. I'm going to be using InDesign.
Yes,
it's going to be amazing.
Fun. Yes.
If anything, it'll be funny.
Absolutely. So y'all are great. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, you can join our Discord down below and tune in every Friday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time for more office hours. And we'll see you next week. Have a great long weekend if you're watching this live.
Yes, everybody.
If you're on review,
have a good one.
Take a long weekend. Bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.